Hello guys, so this is a short video so we can talk about Unit 15A. Unit 15 is, the name is I wouldn't have done that, and on the first grammar of the unit, we are talking about unreal conditional sentences with if clauses. So basically, we talk about a little of what was the second conditional, and I make this video so you guys can have kind of a better understanding on this topic. So the first thing that I'm going to say is that we use the second conditional. We use this conditional, of course, on real conditional sentences with if clauses to talk about unreal situations. So imaginary situations in the present or in the future. So what does this mean? This means that what we are talking about is not real. It's something that we created, something that we made up, that we invented. So basically, it's something that doesn't exist. It's just an imaginary situation. Of course, in the present or in the future. So the way to talk using this conditional, using the second conditional, which is what what I am explaining right now, is we use the if. So we use this particle, which is if, plus the past simple. So basically, if is going to be followed by the past simple. So on the past simple, for the verb to be, as you can see in here, we use were. So instead of saying something like I was, we will be saying I were, she were, he were, for example. So we are basically just using were when we are talking on the verb to be, using the second conditional all the time. And then we use the present conditional, which is wouldn't plus the base form of the verb. Remember that the base form is just the verb. For example, drink, go, sleep, etc. This is the base form, just the verb on the most simple form, like on its original form. So again, to use the second conditional, we are using the particle if, we are using the past simple, and we are using were for the verb to be all the time. And after that, we are using the present conditional. The present conditional is made up out of would or wouldn't plus the base form of the verb. So again, this is something that we use to talk when we are talking about imaginary situations in the present or in the future. So here we have some examples. So imagine, for example, if I tell you, imagine that you won $1 million. So if I ask you, what will you do if you won $1 million? Like, what will you do? So you can answer me using the second conditional. So particle if I, so we have our subject, if is followed by the subject. If I won, which is past simple, if I won $1 million, I would get present conditional because it's wouldn't or would plus the base form of the verb. So if I won $1 million, I would get an apartment. Then we have another example. If, particle if I, our subject, if I were rich, if I were you, I would say sorry. So in here, these are imaginary situations. I don't have $1 million, so I am just imagining what is it that I will do if I won $1 million. In here, of course, I am not you, I am myself, and you are yourself. So if I were you, I would say sorry. So this is an imaginary situation. I haven't won $1 million, and I am not you. So I am just imagining that this situation is real, and I am just giving you a solution or an advice for this imaginary situation that I am doing in my head. So then we have another thing. If and then our subject. If I were, again, if I were rich, I would travel the world. So in here, again, we have the present conditional would plus the base form of the verb travel. So we can also do it backwards. Like, we don't always have to say the if at the beginning of the sentence. So I can use the present conditional first. So they would stay longer if they had more time. So it is basically the same structure, because in here we have a verb, in here we have a subject, and after the subject we have would say, so the present conditional of the verb. In here we have the same verb, present conditional, then whatever it is I'm doing with my sentence, and then if. I'm doing if, after the if I have my subject one more time, and then I have past simple. So they will stay longer if they had more time. We would be in the classroom if it weren't for COVID-19. So basically, in this sentence, again, in these statements, we are talking about imaginary situations, again, things that are not true, but I am picturing in my head. So basically this is what we have. So again, we use the particle if. After the it, we use a subject, and then the past simple, where, for the verb to be all the time. And then on the second part, on my second clause of the sentence, I am using the subject and the present conditional, which is would plus the base form of the verb. So here in the book Interchange 5th edition level 2, we have unreal conditional sentences with if clauses. So in here we have an imaginary situation again, and we are using the past to describe the imaginary situation. If I won $1 million, this is an imaginary situation, and in here I am using my past and if. So if I found, meaning I haven't found this money, I am imagining that I found it. So if I found $40,000, then I am using the possible consequence. So for the possible consequence is when I am using the present conditional. So in here we are using would plus the base form, but we can use would, we can use could, or we can use might, again, plus the base form of the verb. So in here I have my imaginary situation in the past. If I found $40,000, and then I have my possible consequence using the present conditional, would, could, or might plus the base form of the verb. So if I found $40,000, I would keep it. I wouldn't return it. If I found $40,000, I could buy a new car. If I found $40,000, I might go to the police. So in here, I am just explaining, I am just talking about imaginary situations that of course haven't happened, are not true. They are just an scenario in my mind, on your mind. So what would you do if you found $40,000? Again, this is like a WH questions. What would you do if you found $40,000? So again, this conditional, this unreal conditional with if clauses, we use it to talk about, again, imaginary situation and the possible consequence to that imaginary situation. So it's a possible consequence because, again, it's just a possibility because it didn't happen, it hasn't happened. So if I found $40,000, I will keep it. If I found $40,000, I wouldn't return it. If I found $40,000, I could buy a new car. If I found $40,000, I might go to the police. So again, we are using these modal verbs plus the base form of the verb to, which is called present conditional, to talk about the possible consequence. And then we are using the simple past and if to talk about the imaginary situation. So what would you do if you found $1 million? Well, if I found $1 million, I will get an apartment. So what would you do if you were me? If I were you, I would say sorry. What would you do if you were rich? Well, if I were rich, I would travel the world. So basically, this is what we use the second conditional for. If you have any questions, guys, let me know. But basically, you can also just turn back into the video and see the explanation one more time if you don't have things clear. So right now, I will also like you guys to complete this exercise, which is the Grammar Plus for Unit 15A, on real conditional sentences with if clauses. Let's read what it says in here. The clauses in unreal conditional sentences can come in either order, which is what I explained in here. We can say, if I won $1 million, I will get an apartment. But I can also say it like this. I can also say that I will get an apartment if I won $1 million. So they can come in either order. It says in here, don't use the comma when the if clause comes second. If I won the lottery, I share the money with my family, or I share the money with my family if I won the lottery, which is again what we see in here. So if I say, if I won $1 million, comma, I will get an apartment. But if this part comes second, if the if part comes second, then we don't use a comma. So we just say, I will get an apartment if I won $1 million. So basically, this is what you're going to do in here. You are going to complete this conversation with the correct form of the verb that is on parentheses. So we say, if a friend asks to borrow some money, what would you say? So this is what you're gonna do. Just pause the video and complete this exercise so we can correct it. So let's just go ahead and correct the exercise real quick. So in here we have Unit 15 on real conditional with if clauses. So let's just go ahead and click here. So in the first one, if a friend in the past, if a friend asked to borrow some money, what would you say? Well, if I had any extra money that month, I would probably give it to her. So what would or could you do if someone gave you $1 million? So as you can see, this is in simple past. If someone gave. So this is the imaginary situation that we are using to talk about it, that we are using simple past to talk about it. I'm not sure. I could buy a lot of nice clothes and jewelry, or I could might spend some and give some away, or I could might put it all in the bank. If you thought a friend was doing something dangerous, will you say something to him, or will you keep quiet? I will definitely talk to my friend about it. What will you do if you had a problem with your boss? That's a hard one. If that happened, I could talk to the Human Resources Department about it. Or I could just sit down with my boss and talk about the situation. So these are the answers. If you need a screenshot, just let me know on Telegram. But as you can see in here, which is what we just saw on Unit 15, as you can see, we are using the simple past to talk about the imaginary situation, and then we are using would, could, or might plus the verb to talk about the possible consequence to that imaginary situation. So I am just going to post the link for the board on the video, like on the comments of this video, so you guys can have it for later. Again, if you guys have any questions, just let me know, and see you guys in a bit. Bye bye.